the Einar Imperium. Obviously, it's in the name, Einar, part of Einar. They are Kiri. They're common squad, soldiers, discipline, medium 5, 1 life, move of 5, range of 1, attack of 3, defense of 3, 140 points originally. They have a thing called double attack. When each member of Einar Imperium attacks, he may attack 1 additional time. Has stealth flying, and I'm just going to read it for those on the Audiosphere audience. We should all know what stealth flying is, but I'm just going to read it anyway. When counting spaces for the Einar Imperium's movement, ignore elevations. The Einar Imperium may fly over water without stopping, pass over figures without becoming engaged, and fly over obstacles such as ruins. When a main member of the Einar Imperium starts to fly, if he is engaged, he will not take any leaving engagement attacks. All right, what can we say about these guys?
So pretty much these guys are, if you have to go to the Masquerade at 7, but also work at Abercrombie and Fitch at 6. Like that's
Love it.
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it.
Nice.
they can do a lot of damage, but you really struggle to get to that point. I've played them in like 1,000-point games before, and they massacred.
Sure.
But in standard classic points, it's really hard to get them online.
Well, and one of the biggest weaknesses is the bonding synergies. You know.
Yeah,
It's
it
like-
reminds me of because I want to say Craig is it's part of that like list of questions. Everyone's like, why is Taylor so expensive? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned at some point some of these characters were designed for bigger point games. Like sometimes you're not going to have a good time trying to run them in your traditional formatting because they're meant for those larger scale stuff. So just based on that, what Heroscape was saying, and then just looking at it, it's 140 points.
Delta, they're a bit
most
cheaper.
expensive common squad. Yeah. In Delta they're cheaper, but like that's
110, I think.
Yeah.
Like that's still pretty pricey, regardless. Like for a squad that you want to get multiples of, it's a lot of points to spend on just that group. So it's like really hard to make it work because once you spend enough to make them effective, then what else? What do you have left? At that point, you're like,
Would you guys say what their Delta
Actually,
points
they're 100 actually for Delta
110.
points.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, they're 100.
100.
They're 100 now. So 40
100.
points off, which not terrible.
100 points. I might field these guys. Put Atlaga and Marcus in there. You get 7 flying units. That's something I would consider. They have some fun synergies for sure. They boost up that speed.
And me and Joe were talking about this last week too. I mean, Joe was mentioning that you don't necessarily need
The heroes.
the heroes for these guys. They could just be their own army by themselves. Theoretically.
In Delta points, you
get a
can
bunch
just
of them.
straight up take 5 squads of these guys.
Yeah.
And probably
Yeah,
pretty
Delta.
good.
and just mow. And Jeremy, I don't know if you could do me a favor. I think I have a spammer on Twitch there. Thank you. I know you can do it now. So.
I got you.
You're my Twitch wrench. So thank you. But yeah, so I was thinking. I mean, they are slightly difficult to like purchase financially. Because they're sought after. They're sought after because they are unique. Unique sculpts, and I mean they're a Kiri common squad, so you do need a bunch of them to be effective with them. I
was hoping in the new Kyrie box we would get more Einar Kyrie because we don't have any Einar units in the game right now, and Kiova helps these guys out, and more Einar Kyrie, the more you can build an army out. But you can even have 1 or 2 squads of these guys and keep them in the back. Just for the last part of the game and wipe people out. But it's not. I mean, there's better use of your points, but it's an option.
Stealth flying, though, I mean, makes you consider them a little bit more, though, just slightly, because if they didn't have stealth flying, if it was just flying, then I think their value wouldn't be as strong either.
If they, I feel like stealth flying was a specific design choice just to kind of. Balance out the expensive cost because it's like regular flying. That means, they would die so fast.
Right.
You're like, try to get. Oh no, they're dead. Yeah, because that's the thing. Stealth flying it's one of those really interesting, like just that small little tick allowing you to be able to not take leaving engagements gives you so much more effective like strategizing ability with that character.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, Cyprian, he has stealth flying. He becomes annoying because of that, because it's like, oh, I'm getting hit, time to fly away. Oh, I'm getting hit, time to fly away. And then it's like you're chasing him on the board, and it's that being able to pull people away, like kind of like control their movement, because you're trying to get you're taking away their target, so of course they're going to chase it, and it's like you can do that because you don't take leaving engagement. And then flying just lets you jump through elevations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice power that gives you a lot of options.
They can move, although the move of 5, I mean, they can't move very far, unfortunately.
Right. Move is 5. 5 is pretty standard.
It's standard. It's standard. I mean, if it was 4, it would be worse. But
you're making it seem like it's utter garbage.
The thing is, there are other common squads that can move faster. That's the problem, So,
sure, but they don't all have stealth flying and double attacks.
That's true. That's true. I
you just got to bring Marcus and Atlaga and every army with these guys.
Even if,
and they are like for current, or what's listed here for power rankings. I mean, C- across the board basically for these guys. I think it's just because
cost really does.
Yeah, I think it's just because there are better common squads out there that are usually played. These aren't usually considered. So
for anyone that goes to ScapeCon, or goes to events, and people have been playing the Templar recently and just dominating games, I feel like the Einar Imperium are the next untapped, army combination. Like,
though a delta points on
the Templar are only like 30 points in delta, so that's really the
yeah.
No, they're like 80, but still.
But like they were really low, and then they went up because they were doing so well. People were like, because the whole point of Delta too is to give some units a chance to be played more in different formats. So people were like, oh, I could take Templar, that would be cool. And they take it, find out they're really good, they are really fun to play. And everyone starts to play them, they do really well, and then Delta goes, all right, we'll have to go back up now, because if you kind of got, this is why, I guess this is why they were that point value. So
I think these guys have a lot of potential in certain formats. They just 6 attacks from a single squad a turn is don't have to. I think these guys have the potential to break away from the standard X amount of squads. Like you can have like 2 squads of these in your back pocket if you have kind of a solid core and just kind of like clean out house at the end of the game.
It's 18 attack. It's 18 attack dice per turn.
Yeah, too. That's crazy.
That's a lot.
Not including height, or if you have Marcus, you can get that soldier enhancement bonus. So you're attacking, 4 or 5 if you set yourself up. But that's that's hard to do right there. But I wish Kiova was better for these guys. I wish that's really their biggest weakness. Is like she just like, why would you waste a turn making like 1 attack of like 4 or 3 with her, bringing her up, and she doesn't do much. Like Kiova just needs a bit more attack potential or defensive potential to make these guys kind of like worth drafting her, because I always just drop her whenever I play these guys.
Yeah, if they had a bond to where it's like, okay, if you move these, then you can move them. They just ain't there, so it just. And I would even give it like a higher point value just to add that in too. I would sacrifice that if that was the case.
And even a full turn just moving Kiova so she kind of stays with the pack would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Or even like once a turn. Yeah.
Not every army needs to have a bonding thing. Like just like using Raylan in any army. Like you always move her out first, put her in a good range. Because I mean, the gift of the Empress is 5 clear sight spaces. So that's the same as Raylan is. You just have to. You could just be in that era and they can re-roll defense. That's that didn't roll any shields. I mean that's pretty good. Like. I mean, sure. Let's see. I'm running with Delta right now because I think Delta is like the best way to play. So, right now, if I take out Marcus and we just look at Empress Kyova. You can take 4 Imperium and Empress for 475.
There you go.
And throw in an Earth Elemental, and you're good.
There you go.
Why not?
At 25 points, solid. Solid.
You got yourself a general army right there. Because Earth Elemental's Einar. So.
But once again,
you have to be willing to let these guys die. Like you really have to. Like, all right, they're gonna go. You have to play them almost a lot like the Vipers. Like they just are gonna go in and chew through things, and then they're gonna die. Right. You know, like that's kind of how you have to envision them. But Vipers are only 40 points or however many points in Delta. These guys are still a bit heftier for that. So you really have to maximize every usage with them.
For sure.
Right.
Just makes it questionable competitive, which is, I mean, I'm just stating the reality. This is why people don't usually choose them. But let's
slog into the C tiers right now. That's
again, it's like C minus. Yep.
If I can grab some of these guys, use Empress, and go into a General Wars, I'd definitely try this out.
Yeah, for General Wars, I mean, why not? Just have fun with it. But here, let me go. Let's look at lore at these guys, because as opposed to other miniatures that we're reviewing today, we can actually talk about probably something about these guys. Okay, let me read the character bio here. Even though it's in yellow, it's very hard to see. Among the rolling hills of Linz of Farm lays the heart of Einar's empire, a gorgeous gold-domed palace built on the shimmering surface of Mirror Lake. The splendor of that sight is unmatched in all of Valhalla. The very air glows with the golden image reflected off the water. A long bridge, lined with rows and rows of golden arches, leads out to the palace. Under each and every arc. Oh, sorry, did I say arch originally? Arc. Or is it arch or arc? I'm sorry, I'm stopping myself here from this read.
I think it's arch.
Arch, okay.
Arch for architecture.
Gotcha. Okay, under every arch stand 2 bronze-skinned Kiri, members of Einar's elite Imperium. Every member of the Imperium is loyal, disciplined, and altogether exceptional. They stand alert at their posts, their dual blades crossed upon their chests. And what chests they have, I tell you. Covering their faces are varied masks made from the same extraordinary pure gold used in the building of the palace. Mined from the nearby hills, enter the valley unbidden, and you'll find yourself quickly surrounded by an entire legion of these soldiers. Fail to turn back, and they'll not hesitate to cut you down where you stand. And Derek says competitive bah humbug. Okay, well let's explore the lore of these guys first, though.
Yeah.
So interesting, Kiri. You know,
it's the one thing I've always, and you know, I'm asking this as if it's like, oh, I can't go figure this out for myself at some point. But yeah, the one thing that has always interested me is Einar is an Imperial, right? Like they always have this. He has an Imperium. He's described with an empire. But that one question I've always had is like, what did he conquer? Like, what was it that made him an emperor? And I don't think that ever really got explored, like what he took over that made him an emperor. Because that's the thing. In order to have an empire, you have to have a vassal state, right? There has to be something that had been taken over. So it's like, what did Einar take over? And why, what is, like, this golden palace he has, all this wealth that he has. I mean, if you go into the Thorman journals, you can kind of read that whole passage when they introduce it. I mean, he's loaded. He's pretty. This man has so much wealth in the middle of one of the worst wars in the galaxy, and you're just like, how? Like, how is this possible, dude? You're rich. You're an emperor. You're like, what is all this? Where is this all like? And it's just they never explored that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, Einar, maybe you're not as great as everyone thinks. All this gold and conquering and So I've always been curious about that. But Yeah, this bio is really cool and kind of exploring a little bit more, I guess like Valhalla stuff, like what goes on the planet itself.
The different cultures of the Kiri.
Yeah, the different the different aesthetics, different nations that are involved here, and then so this is a whole new culture in itself. That culture of like super hardcore military discipline, crust, like that's what they're looking like. They're just standing there waiting for something to happen. That's intimidating.
I have a chip on my shoulder. I dare you to knock it off.
Right. So
I do really appreciate how distinct they made all of the individual Kyrie tribes in Valhalla. They all have very unique culture and inspired both by their own writing and real life counterparts. You have kind of all coming together. It just really, I think the Kyrie tell a lot of stories and in this game just by their visual presence. You look at the Imperium, you like know their presence in this world kind of instantly, which I think is really cool.
Sure. The sculpts and like I think Justin was saying, I think he was saying this, some of my favorite sculpts in the game. Yeah, they are very
they're
very
crazy.
Nice. Yeah. They're very nice. Some of those original Heroscape minis just got the just perfect.
Yeah, the sculptors for they used to have are just, they use such dynamic posing and really angles to really tell stories.
Okay, might want to check your audio there for a second, Josiah. I think you cut out for a second, just so you know. Not a huge technical difficulty, but I did notice it hopped out. Okay, well, and again, getting these guys, like, say, financially, what would you say? Like, I mean, they're not horribly expensive, but at the same time, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to get, like, since they're a common squad, to get, like, some squads worth. So I would say, like, question your investment if there's other competitive armies that would be better competitively for you. Get those. But I mean, if you got a thing for like the imperial nature of the Kiri, then yeah, I'd say probably something that you should pursue. Like I said, I don't know. I have this thing about double attack. I don't know if it's just because I mean Sylvaris has something similar, with his firing of arrows, but. That just I always like when you have like multiple attacks on a turn. It doesn't take any like special dice roll ability. You just do it, So that's an appealing thing for me personally. So anything else we want to say about these guys?
I was just looking to see if I can get it from Shrexy 3D.
I would say
I like playing things that aren't normally played.
Right.
I generally like finding armies that are just so different that I normally see. Just because I've seen stuff that I don't normally see and was like I mean, I always say that the Rock army, the Granite Guardians and Warden 816. That was an army I saw in ScapeCon 22, and I just thought that was just such a cool combo. A robot and a bunch of rock people. Such a cool thing. And I just don't see it as often as I'd like, so...
Yeah.
I'd say if you're going to get them, get a bunch of them, Get some 3D prints of them and get like 4 or 5 squads worth. Then you might be somewhat effective.
No, absolutely. I literally just looked it up. I mean, I already have one original copy, so if I wanted to go get 3 Shrexy 3D prints, it's like $32.
There you go.
So, I'll take it. Yeah. And they don't look that terribly difficult to paint,
No.
So.
I'm good for proxies. Yeah. I'm good for proxies. I'd say. I mean, personally, I like them. Like I said, just because they got double attack, I'm a sucker for those types of abilities, and as much as like I was reminded from one of Dog and Days' videos that 20-sided die roll doesn't necessarily mean that you should ignore a unit. It just depends on how you play it. But the fact that it doesn't, nothing's dependent on a 20-sided die roll with these guys, I think it just helps them out a little bit more. They're predictable. Yes, they can go down easily, but that's just you just got to manage through them, like you were saying earlier, Josiah. So I guess that's all we really say about these guys. So here's taking a look at the Einar Imperium, and just that name in itself just is cool. I mean, personally, just there's the Valkyrie general's name right in their descriptive line. But anyway, that's taking a look at the Einar Imperium for your consideration for your Heroscape collection.